In this episode of Let's Learn with Ryan, we are going to learn how to create custom date columns in Power BI. Let's look at this page in Power BI. In the first chart, we are actually comparing the sales order amount for each quarter. So 2003 quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, and then 2004 quarter 1 and quarter 2. Each quarter is a bar in this first chart. The second chart, which is at the bottom, we are actually comparing the average sales order amount for each day. So on x-axis here, we have the days of the week, which is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Why do we need such a chart? Sometimes we need to compare in our business which days of our week are performing the best in terms of sales. For the date selected on this page, which is the 1st of Jan 2003 until the 30th of June 2004, the best sales happen on a Sunday. Let's look at the third chart, which is we are comparing the total sales order amount for each month. If you look at the x-axis, we have the format as the short month and then the year. For example, Jan 2003, Feb 2003. So that's what we want. In the next one, which is the fourth chart, the one at the bottom right, we have exactly the same information as of the chart above. If you look at the x-axis, the formatting used is year and then the month number. So 2003-01, 2003-02. So the question here is, how do we create these date formats in Power BI? Let's try and find out. Let's start with a blank page in Power BI. So we go to the data pane in here, click on it to expand, and you can see in our data set we have got just one table called the sales order details. Just glancing through it, you can understand what we have here is actually the details on sales orders. Let's try to insert a table visual. Try to look at some of the fields to understand the data more. So let's bring maybe the order number, order line number, order date, things like maybe the customer name, the order amount, the order price, the status, and the quantity ordered. Great. We are trying to create a chart which actually compares things like the order amount for, let's say, different quarters and months and dates. So for that, the date field we are going to use is actually the order date. Now you can see, even though we selected order date, you see year, quarter, month, and day. Why this happens is it's a default Power BI setting. So you can actually click on this icon, the drop down in here, and then click on order date. By doing that, it actually shows you the values for order date. Okay, so I'm going to the right side, remove these objects one by one, just keep the order date. Now that we have analyzed the data what we have found out there is one column which is called the order date, which is actually the date when the order was placed. So what are we trying to do here? We are trying to create new columns or new objects in Power BI which will give you the quarter information, the month information in those different formats. So for example, for 6/1/2003, you can create a new object called year quarter, which gives you 2003 quarter 1. You can create different object for this date. So instead of 6/1/2003, it's going to give you Jan 2003. So how do we do it? Alright, let's create a new table in Power BI, which will be our dimension table for calendar. So let's go to modeling and click on new table. Let's call this the dim calendar because this will be our dimension table for calendar. So let's define this as a calendar table. So we just say equal to calendar. And then we have to mention the start date and the end date. Since the data in our sales order details table is between Jan 2003 and December 2005, let's put the dates as 2003-11 in a date function, which actually, so we're telling Power BI the start date is actually 2003 January 1. And then the next parameter is end date. So it's going to be, again, we're going to put 2005, 12 and 31. So this actually means 31st of December 2005. Great. So hit enter and we have a table, a dimension table for calendar, the first version, and you can see we have just one column called date. So let's just bring it here. So let's click on a table visual and then bring the date. Great. And you can see this hierarchy thing. So we click on the drop down and click on date. Great. And we don't want this format. We want the format for the date column to be exactly like the order date column. So we go to the date object in here and then select the same date format, DDMMYYYY. Click on that one. Great. Okay, now that we have this table here, let's actually join the table dim calendar to the sales order details, because these two tables need to have relationship so we can analyze the values, the dollars and all those measures coming from the sales order details table with the objects we create in this new table. So we click on the model view icon. Let's click on this date column and then drag all the way to the sales order details and drop it onto this column which says order date. So by doing that, Power BI has created a join for us, which is actually from the dim table to the sales order details table. So you can see the relationship. Let's go back to report view and click on this one. Okay, so the next step is let's try to add or create our custom date columns in this new table. So click on it and then let's add columns to this. So just maybe just expand in here and then just put this to the next line and then start typing add columns, and then what we do is let's create our first custom column as year number. So we call this year number, and then what we do is we just say year of date. We have to make sure we're actually picking the date from the dim calendar table and not the order date coming from the sales order details table. So click on that one and then close the brackets and then close the brackets again. Once you hit enter, you can see there's a new column that's been created on the right side saying year number. Now, by default, Power BI applies a summarization for all the new columns. The best practice is not to have a summarization on any of those columns. If you want to do a summarization, let's say to sum some stuff or take an average or max or min, the best practice is always to create a measure. So let's click on this object year number and then go to the summarization option, and then it says sum at the moment and say don't summarize. So by doing that, we can see that the summarization is actually removed from here. Great. Now minimize that one. Let's bring the new column into a table. So keep the table selected and then click on it. So we can see we got a year number. You can see the DAX we have written, it doesn't look good. It's messy. So when we write SQL or DAX, it's always the best thing to keep it very nicely formatted so it's easy for you to read, for someone else to read in the future. So let's copy this one, Control A, Control C, and then let's go to a browser and then type here DAX formatter. So one of the first results is DAX formatter by SQL BI. Click on it and then paste your DAX code in here, Control V, and then say format. So you can see it looks much better. So copy this one and let's go back to Power BI and paste it. So you can see now it looks much better in terms of formatting. Hit enter and we have our newly formatted table definition for dim calendar. Great. So right now we have our dim calendar table with two columns. The first one is the date itself, and then we've got a year number. To save time and to keep this video short, we have created the additional date objects here in this table. So you can see under year number, we have a few date objects like month number, date number of month, day number of week, and so on. Now, you can create as many as you want based on your reporting needs. But what we are trying to do here is to show you how do we create custom date objects in Power BI. So these are just some examples. You can use it as a reference. So for the column month number, we're extracting the month from the date. For the day number of month, we're extracting the day from the date, which gives you a number between 1 and 30 or 31 depending on the month. The next one, which is the day number of week, gives you a number between 1 and 7, which corresponds to the day of the week between Sunday and Saturday. Now you can actually use the link in the description below to get this PBIX, and you can copy paste this DAX code into your report if you want to use them. So you can see in the dim calendar, many columns have got the summarization icon on it. So click on one of them and you can click on the drop down and say don't summarize. But that's time consuming because we have a lot of objects. The best way is to click on the model view and click on the first column, which is date. Go all the way down and shift click to select all the columns in this table. Click on advanced, scroll down, click on summarize by, and they say none. This is the easiest way to remove the summarization from all the columns in a table. Now it's done, go back to report view and you can see that's all gone. Let's expand this a little bit, scroll down, and you can see we have three measures also defined for the sales order detail. The first one is a sales order amount. The next one is a sales orders, which is a distinct count on the order numbers. And the last one is a sales order average amount. In this first chart, we have the sales order amount as a measure, and on the x-axis we have a quarter, YYYY, QQ. So by using this date column quarter YYYYQQ, we can actually get this graph or the chart which gives you 1 bar per quarter in this format, 2003 quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and so on. So in the next chart below, we have used the day name short, which gives you Sunday to Saturday. In the other one, we have used the month MMM, which then gives us a format Jan 2003, Feb 2003, and so on. And in the last one, we have used another date column, which is month YYYYMM, which gives you in this format 2003-01-02-03. To learn how to apply a custom sort in Power BI to get the order for the months, the quarters, and the days of the week the way you wanted, please watch the video in the description below. There is a link. If you click on it, it actually explains to you how to define the custom sort. You can use this video as a reference to understand how do we create the custom date columns in Power BI. In the link, you can go and get this PBIX to copy this DAX, paste it into your report, and then make changes as you require and then use them for reporting. So in this video, we watched how to define custom date columns in Power BI. Please share your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you've enjoyed watching this video, please like and subscribe to this channel to receive notifications when new videos are uploaded. Thank you for watching.